Hi guys, so here is your lesson 5. It's all about filling in space. This is a drawing, what I've done so far in a drawing on my iPad. So here's my iPad. I'm using a drawing program called Sketchbook. It's really nice because it animates the sketch, so I can click on that and it shows me, what I've done so far. You can see here that in some of these parts, I'm having a hard time filling in the space. I did my initial sketch and sometimes I feel like it can be kind of just intimidating to try to fill in some of that space because there's a lot of area to cover and I only have one pencil and it seems like it's going to take a lot of time. So I'm going to give you some tips today into how to make a drawing like this look more professional and less rushed, because right now my drawing looks a little bit rushed. So this is something that I have a hard time with. I'm going to keep working on my sketch and show you some of my tips. So that's the photo that I'm working from. And the cool thing about this sketchbook drawing program is that I can do a side-by-side feature and sort of zoom in certain parts and kind of focus on certain things that I want to. You can see there's water droplets on this rose. It has interest, it has contrast, everything that we're looking for when we talked about choosing a subject. So you can see I'm zooming in here. The first thing I'm going to focus on is this little shadow on the petal right there. I'm trying to determine sort of my shadow, my midtone, my highlight, and I'm going to look at that little shadow right there. I'm just using a regular pencil. So this kind of works like a regular, I'm using an Apple pencil. So it reads the pressure and it works just like a regular pencil and paper. And it's easier for you guys to see. So I'm going to go in and you can see I'm starting to fill in some of the shadow right there. I'm just moving my pencil up and down and going really slow, keeping my lines close together and slowly building in my shadow there. I don't want to go too fast, even though it can seem really, really tedious to fill in all that space. I don't want to go too fast. I'm going sort of slow to medium speed, and I'm keeping my lines really close together and going in one direction. That's probably your easiest way to fill in space a little bit professionally. And you can see I've got a little bit of unevenness, splotchiness there. I'm just going over it and building in my shadow gradually. Something that's also going to help with this are those tortillions, those little blending sticks that I showed you guys in class. They're about $1 for a multi-pack, so I would look into that too. That kind of helps. So here I am, though, with just a pencil, slowly building in that shadow by going up and down and keeping my lines close together. That's your trick. Another trick is if you use a softer pencil. So I moved on to a bigger space and I want to show you what not to do. What you don't want to do is fill in a shorter space like I did there. I did the wrong thing on purpose because when you try to fill in space after that, you have this weird line. So you want to do what I'm doing right now, which is make your lines still close together, still go slow, still monitor your pressure, keep your pressure light, and still build into a darker shadow, but make your lines longer. You can also try a cross-hatching technique. We talked about cross-hatching when we did the value scales, but you can see that you don't want to do it loose like I'm doing up there in the corner. You want to keep your cross-hatching kind of tight, and it will sort of create a dynamic textured shadow. So you can try both of those if you want. But just remember, if you're filling in a bigger space, make your lines a little bit longer, and then you'll have less awkward division of shadows. So what I did here is I'm just starting to build in more of those shadows. So I'm going underneath this one petal and I'm trying to get it as smooth as possible. This would be an example where using a tortillion or even your finger or a Q-tip to blend would probably be the best course of action because flowers are really smooth. So if you have a rough pencil texture, then you're not going to make it look like you want it to look, which is sort of that realistic. Before I finish this video, I want to make sure that I cover not just what it's like to fill in a shadow, but what it's like to fill in a mid-tone. So this underneath this petal, it's like a little bit of a medium color. It's not very dark, it's not a highlight, so it's a middle tone. I'm going in and I'm doing the same thing, putting my lines in the same direction, kind of following the direction of the petal. You'll see I'm going to turn here in a second to what I just did right there is kind of against the grain of what I see in the petal. So if I turn my pencil strokes, they're going to kind of give that texture that I want. And I'm going to still do the same thing, lines close together, going slow, in one direction, but I'm going to just have my pressure be a little bit lighter. So something that you can do if you're worried about, sort of choosing the wrong color is, just like we did last week, you can actually make a little value scale on a piece of paper next to your paper. So you can sort of reference what color you think that you're using. Sometimes it's hard to see it in the whole picture. So you can see now I'm sort of changing the direction. I'm undoing what I did with that, the grain going in the wrong direction, but it's still creating this sort of roughness. So I think I might actually have to erase this, and investing in a good eraser is probably going to be a saving grace for you guys. So I'm going to erase my little spot that I just did that right there, because I don't think I can get rid of that texture that I messed up. Follow the grain of what you see, and then you won't have that problem. You want as smooth a texture as possible. So I just erased it a little bit, and I'm going to try again. A kneaded eraser is a good idea, or a gum eraser, but one on the end of your pencil just might not cut it, especially because you guys know that they don't always get that. What the reason that an eraser might not work is it gets oversaturated. So, the eraser sort of picks up that graphite. And if it's not a very good eraser, you're just going to have a little bit of graphite get on it, and then it's going to become slippery, and then you're going to actually be making marks more than you'll be getting rid of them. So a gum eraser is a good one, and a kneaded eraser is good, because a gum one can really take a lot of graphite, and then a kneaded eraser, you actually play with it to get rid of the graphite, and then it's a brand new clean eraser again. So here I am trying again, going with the grain of the petal. You can see those little lines in the petal. I'm trying to kind of follow those, and that's kind of really helping. And it looks a lot better now. And then what I would do is blend this with a Q-tip or my finger, a clean finger, or tortillon, to sort of get this really, really smooth texture of a flower. And there you go. The more I work on this, the more I'm going to tweak and adjust. Art is just all about tweaking and adjusting. It's not about knowing what to do the first time. But if I keep going, I think I'm going to really like the finished result of this. All right, well, thank you guys so much for listening to my video on filling in space. Hopefully this helps and gives you some tips and tricks to make your drawings a little bit better.